Hi, my name's Callie, and I'll be talking a little bit about the ideas surrounding immigration today. So, I'd like to start off by saying that each year, about 675,000 permanent immigrants come into the United States. And this sounds like a pretty large number, but to put that number into perspective, there are over 290,000 people in Greensboro alone. So, this is an issue that's relevant to all of us. So, our current immigration system, according to the American Immigration Council, is based on a few major principles. One of those principles would be reunited families. Another one of those would be valuable skill, the protection of refugees, which is a major one that we hear in the media today quite a bit. And then there are diversity reasons. So the American Immigration Council provided us with a nice chart that sort of goes over the preference category, the eligibility, and the yearly numerical limit. And it's all kind of based, I chose to go over the chart that was based on skilled workers that are coming into the United States, whether or not they can benefit the American economy, and their preference categories. So like there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so the first preference would be individuals of extraordinary ability in the arts, science, education, business, athletics, or outstanding professors and researchers, multinational executives, and managers. And the yearly numerical limit for these types of people are $40,000. So I'll go down to like a fourth preference category, which would be certain special immigrants, including religious workers, employees of U.S. Foreign Service Posts, former U.S. government employees, and other classes of aliens. And the yearly numerical limit for these types of individuals is 10,000. So as you can see, it's based on what these individuals can bring to the United States that will, benefit the country as a whole. So now that we've gone over the current state of immigration, I would like to touch a little bit on some of the opposing viewpoints. And I would like to start with an article that is titled "The Effects on Low-Skilled and High-Skilled Native Workers." And this article sort of takes a stance against immigration. So this article mentions some economic theories that suggest that an increased amount of immigration will in turn create lower wages for the workers that are already in the United States. And according to this article, it would affect low-skilled workers more so than it would affect high-skilled workers. So there are definitely a few cons about this idea, but one of the major cons that I got from it was that it's a very general viewpoint, and I don't think that you can boil down something as big as immigration to saying that it's going to lower wages. And a pro that I got out of this article is if you think this way, it could push individuals to increase your skills. And I think it's always a good idea to increase your skills. And so the author of this article definitely was appealing to the idea of scarcity. And that's something we talked about in chapters 5 through 8. And it definitely works here. So when the thought of losing something is in sight, people seem to be more motivated, and that's what's going on here. The thought of losing, part of your wages, or the thought of losing access to as many jobs as there was before. Even though that might not necessarily be true, people are more drawn to it because of that. So we are more driven for something when we're in competition for it, and that's exactly what's going on here. If you have this viewpoint, you would think that you're in competition with these skilled or non-skilled immigrants that are coming into the United States. So the opposing viewpoint to that would obviously be open borders without any security at all. So an article titled "A Debate on Open Borders" says that the United States should have open borders completely. So an obvious con of this would be that there's no accountability on our part. There's no way for us to be accountable for the individuals that are in our country, and I think for obvious reasons we should be accountable for the people in our country. And I would say a pro to this would be that there would definitely be more diversity, because we would have people coming in from all throughout the world, and it wouldn't be based on whether or not they could offer something to the United States. And there would be less money spent as far as the government for border security, because there would be no border security. And I think this idea definitely speaks to the principle of authority that we also mentioned in chapters 5 through 8 of our discussions. And I say this because, you know, we've never had open borders, so it must be wrong is kind of the idea of most Americans, and that would be considered blind obedience to authority, being the government. So is it best to follow the authority here, or is it best to think about, you know, what these immigrants have to offer, and weigh the pros and cons ourselves? So in conclusion, now that we've looked at both sides of the argument, how can we secure our country all while maintaining and promoting a diverse culture? Thank you.